jeopardize what has so far been a phenomenally productive relationship with the park police.
Mic check. Mic check. When one of us breaks the law, and no one else breaks the law, it's very easy for the police to arrest or otherwise harm that person. As such, it seems prudent that when we break the law, we do so together. Because of this, it also seems that we should leave, obey the law as our de facto rule. And if we wish to break it, decide to do so explicitly.
The process.
The process point. You mentioned earlier, I believe, that we need We mentioned earlier, I believe, that we need to make sure we have people's consent to being filmed.
For example, right there. Guy.
We're talking to you, Adam.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Kokesh does not apply our.
I don't mind.
Does anybody
Anybody
here
here
have a problem
with this being filmed?
Please raise your hand.
Would you mind not filming?
I'm recording a public event, so I'm going to keep filming.
He has every right to record it.
Yeah. Okay, those of you so much.
Get him. They're gonna come get you.
Just leave him alone. You'll get your interviews later, I promise.
Anyone who doesn't
Come
want
on.
to be on camera,
Hey, please stop touching me.
Come on.
I think if people are standing in public, they should be willing to be filmed.
You're so annoying sometimes. Although I do miss hanging out with you.
Stop using this symbol.
You're too funny. Alright, I'll saw you later.
Explain.
No, wait, whoa.
You all using this symbol. It's not. It's bad connotation. Stop using this symbol. Use this symbol instead. I'll explain later. There might be something underlying.
Sorry, I need a second. Mic check.
Well, this is fun.
All damn day, dog, on the camera.
By definition.
So, are you guys like ashamed to be filmed, or like you don't want there to be a public record of what's being?
Game bumped up and it looks like shit. Second of all, why don't you film from the back? Film from the back, dog. Don't be an asshole.
Well, I'm being an asshole by standing in public and recording this public scene.
We added to.
And
The people ask you to stop you.
you don't think people standing up for a cause in public should be willing to be filmed?
Can I just point something out to you as a camera operator? Stand at the fucking back.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
you're not
I know
seeing
that's
faces.
what I think.
It's not that complicated. I realize you knew it. There's a little toy rig, but try it out, dude. Just stand at the back.
So this is how Occupy DC regards the media, independent media.
I'm independent media. I film everything we do. I respect when people ask me to stop. What do you
Excuse me, I didn't hear that last part. What was that?
Step over here and I'll talk to you. I don't want to interrupt you.
Step over where?
Just back up. I'm like talking to your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, you can film me all you want. I'm independent media myself.
Yeah,
film
but
everything we do.
But you don't think I should be able to film this public event?
When someone asks you to stop filming their face, you should stop. And your
You
shot
don't own
looks
the
like
light
shit.
photons. You don't own the lights and photons.
That's a
that
really good
reflect off your
argument.
face.
That's an incredible argument. Right
That's
there.
it.
Your shot looks like shit. You should punch back just a little, dog. I'll step back for you. There you go.
There is a private meeting
Why don't you
where
do a
about
third box
half
right
the people
there.
here raise their hands.
Just
saying
move to
they
the back
want you
and
to
film. We got no problem with you filming the
Doesn't matter,
process.
just
It's
because-
just there are people that don't want to be on the camera.
If they don't want to be on camera, they shouldn't be standing in public.
They shouldn't be in a public place.
What's your argument for that?
They shouldn't be in a public place.
But if you're in public, if you're calling for something, you're making public demands, you're asking the government to do something, you should be willing to stand behind that.
So that implies.
If you want media
that implies-
attention,
hold
you
on,
should be
slow
willing
down.
to
Slow
stand in
down,
front of the
Byron.
media.
Slow down. That implies that you have consent to be filmed merely walking outside.
I think,
Is that
yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you're saying the moment you walk out your door, you consent to being filmed.
Yeah, I mean, if people aren't
Absolutely.
interfering with
Are
what
you
you're
from
doing,
Texas?
they're not in your
Are you
public
guys from
space.
Texas? You sound like you're from fucking Texas. This isn't Texas. This isn't the South. This isn't where you get to just do shit because you feel like it. All right? Someone asked
Wait,
you to
hold on.
not
Can
film.
I ask them a question?
Ask.
Why are you filming?
Because I think this is interesting. I think it's an important conversation.
Okay.
I disagree with a lot
So
of it,
why-
but I think
okay.
this is important.
You know
So
you're
when
lying
people,
right now
when
on
people
camera.
who
No,
are,
no, I'll post this.
Absolutely lying.
I think this conversation is important. I disagree with most of what's being said here, but I think it's an important conversation.
So how does shifting around to the back with better light exposure on what you're shooting a bad idea? Explain that to me, please.
How is blocking my camera a good idea?
Because friends of mine and colleagues have asked to not be filmed, and you have decided to disrespect that. And it's a public place, so under your own argument, I can do what the fuck I want. correct?
Yeah. Oh, as long, I mean, I'm not interfering with
You can
anybody's
dance all
right to move
fucking
their
day,
body.
dude. I operate a
Stand-
camera for a living.
stand in
People block me all the time.
Yeah.
I get
Sure.
it.
Sure. You're totally welcome to stand in front of me.
And I will.
As long as you're really out of my personal space, you're not physically
If you
threatening me.
move to the back, I'm gonna sit the fuck down. I won't be part of this meeting. But you have demonstrated a clear lack of respect. I'm not gonna say you're Republican, but you probably are close
If
to
he
that
only
shit.
knew.
Oh, if I'm disrespectful,
Or
I'm
you
a
like
Republican.
hard, whatever, dude.
It might just be an idiot.
No, there's
lots
always
of
there's
different
always
kinds of
that too.
no, I think he's just disrespectful and he's trying to provoke
You know what? I
us.
shouldn't have said Republican. I've had a long day.
He's
I'm
just-
tired. That was
So,
actually really misinformed and
I
ignorant
have,
of me. And
I
apologize.
have a question, another question.
Fucking boots and
I won't. I don't take
Say
people out of
Republican.
context. You won't get that,
Personal
man.
tags aren't going to help either. I have another question. So, let's say, you know, you're in a public meeting, and let's say that you're with some friends who have had, you know, bad experiences being filmed before. Somebody's followed them home, somebody who's looking for them, for a woman who's been abused before, and it's a friend of yours. Like, if she asked somebody to stop filming her, do you think she has a right to do that?
Well, stalking is something other than covering a public political meeting. I
Sure.
mean, you're equating that is not really accurate.
Well, but there
That's a
are
fair
people
point, but your
within this
argument
meeting
is implied
who've had all
consent by
kinds
what?
of experiences. And so if they've had all kinds of experiences and somebody is capturing them on film and possibly leading them
Yeah.
to something dangerous, then do you
That's a
think
good. That's a good argument for shutting down the
I'm not
the
making
First
an
Amendment.
argument. I'm trying to explain to you that this is a collective process where everybody's trying to feel safe together, and maybe you could learn from it if you sat down and listened to the way that they're trying to do consensus method and get everybody to agree on things and get everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna go back to recording the meeting. I think
Oh,
it's,
so you don't want to
it's
listen to
interesting.
me even though I'm consenting?
No, I think you're interesting, but you're not as interesting as this meeting here.
I think it's really important that non-violence is actually above obeying the law, and non-violent civil disobedience has a very long tradition in DC, and I think that's something that we can engage in by talking to each other, getting consensus among each other, allowing for autonomous action in such a way that it doesn't disrupt what everyone else wants to do, everyone else's ability to be safe. I've participated in direct action that hasn't gone right for a lot of other people, and so I've learned a lot about how to do that kind of thing properly, and I'm really looking forward to having conversation with people about going forward with that. In the meantime, the phrase obey the law and simply talking about how we can have this perfect relationship with the police
I don't
is
mind being
leading to a lot of people and assume that it limits us. I think it'd be better, there are better ways to push what we want out of that, which is
Been there, that was
not
more
disbursement of this
more
group.
exciting than, you know.
Well, I already covered one of the marches out of here.
Oh, one of the marches. They've been here for a week. Did you know that? Every
I
day,
know.
all day.
Yeah, well, you're gonna blame me because I haven't covered every single one? You're gonna hold it against me that I haven't covered every single
No, no, I'm
one?
just saying you haven't. One is not all.
Okay.
We still have a few people on set. What was that